it shows in the life of the individual that you're discipling. Is he really catching on? Is he beginning to reproduce? Is he sharing back with you as you share together in your one-on-one mentoring? Is he really developing? You can tell by his language. And as I said a little earlier, Dawson Trotman said, let me pray with a man and I'll tell you where he is spiritually. And so I would think that as we develop even our prayers begin to take on a different dimension of how we're reaching out. And our conversations, our language is showing more Bible in it and more indication that God's working more deeply. We're sharing deeper things of God in our lives, and we're demonstrating by our life and by our ministry that God is really digging in deeply and where our roots are going down. And we use an illustration sometime in our teaching of planting the seed. Except the corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. And the NIV says, unless a kernel of wheat is put in the ground, it remains a single kernel. But when it dies, it produces many kernels. Well, just think about Jesus. I like to use the verse in John 12:24. John 12:24. Except the corn of wheat fall in the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. What would have happened if Jesus didn't die? How many Christians would there be here today? He was willing to give his life in the life of others. And so the corn of wheat is put in the ground. You can read this in the library. There's a softening and enlarging that takes place as osmosis takes place, as that little seed is put in the ground. And then there's a chemical change. Starches turn to sugar. And I like to think of the Holy Spirit taking over in my life and making me more like Jesus Christ. Then the roots go down. Then a shoot goes up, and then fruit. The law of the agronomist is no root, no shoot, no fruit. So there ought to be fruit demonstrated in the life. And in our classes, we also, how to multiply, we have M from multiplying. That's John 12:24, being willing to die to self. Number 2, I for invest. Investing in the lives of other people by spending time with them, getting them into studies and so on. And then the idea of starting with one. Forget the multitude. Start with one person. And if you can't win someone right away, then adopt someone that you can help. And there's something takes place. There's couples today that cannot have a child. They adopt one and something takes place in the life of that individual. They're able to have their own children. So you multiply by investing, start with one, and then you stay with one until that one person is growing deeply in the Word and taking his place in the church and so on. And so it's a business of just seeing what's happening in the individual's life that you begin to say, well, this is taking hold. We're bearing fruit.